Alright, start things off with Twin PBL.
So, where's the handoff? Sure. But what's to stop the senator from taking our prisoner and showing us his island? Shows his face in public.
Attention. Level 2046 is now under curfew by order of Senator Sejon. Clear the streets and shelter in place until further notice. Security patrols will detain and incarcerate anyone who does not comply.
Not this one. I come along.
You gonna let him call you that?
That's enough. Night Market. He was trying to buy a crate of electroproton bombs from a Chagrin arms dealer. Jedi have to sleep, same as us.
Always nice to meet a fan.
This way, Jedi.
Easy, Kingpin.
Mind your business.
This is my business. The prisoner needs to be in mint condition.
The senator
You'll burn for this. That's mine.
Stop the Jedi!
I know my splits say single blade there, but technically we unlock both the single saber and double blade saber.
That all you got, Senator? Come on out. We'll talk.
Oh, I think we actually get the.
Gotta get to that yacht.
Nope, we do not. Never mind.
That was a close one, buddy. It's not your fault.
Okay, we'll do the climb skip here, but since I do want to do technically no resets, I will be grabbing the med point, save point here.
We gotta find that yacht before the Empire does.
Or not med point, but the rooftops save point there. Basically, if we skip that trigger there where the rooftops text came up, then if I void out, I will respawn back at the start of the tutorial,
Do you, buddy?
which makes this launch requiring basically first try. You can see there, I did not get it, so getting that save point will mean I can get a few attempts. Yeah, this doesn't look great either. Right distance, just not the exact right spot. That looks a lot better. But yeah, you basically want to land over this, like, I guess vent. I'm not really sure what it is, but that spot of the roof to land in the elevator shaft where there is a loading trigger that will then load in this area. We can take this back up. We do need to get cable for this run because we cannot trigger the 9th sister fight without it. And in order to get the dual wield stance, we need to fight the 9th sister.
What should I do?
Also, having cable just makes some areas easier to traverse.
This place is a ghost town.
These days, just being outside's asking for trouble.
Yeah, we'll trigger the K405 fight now. We'll acquire cable once we defeat him.
Been looking forward to this, Tin Man.
attack dinner. You will regret that.
think he was a fan of you either.
Aren't we all?
Ascension cable's holding.
Good, I got a feeling you're gonna need it.
We can PVC out of there. Since we have this rope here, we don't have to hit the console to lower any of the wall runs. And now, our second requirement to spawn in to be able to trigger the Ninth Sister fight is getting the Senator, which normally you can just go around the climbing section, around on the left, but you can also do this off 11's pause buffer spamming to basically vertically displace Cal. He will like kind of oscillate up and down through the floor. With exponentially increasing height, although I'm not doing a good example of this whatsoever. I do like to stand on this lamp sometimes if I'm struggling with it because it does have a little bit more uneven ground. It could make it easier to get started with the oscillations here. But it's not necessary. As you can see, there we get going. And basically, if you push out the right, you use push to basically break out of that oscillations. And if you do it at the right time, you'll land right on the yacht like that. And you can just hit a trigger there and basically roll back on to
And now, time for me and my lovely
be able to
assistant
board.
to show you how it's done.
Bit of a time loss there. That took me a while to get going, but
Stay back! I'm warning you!
that's why I practice no reset. I suppose that's something I don't necessarily need to do. It only saves like 30
Give us
seconds.
your terminal passcode.
Impossible. They'll execute me.
You will give me
It is a cool trick though, so I might want to do it just to showcase it.
Lock it and you'll be rewarded.
I'll be rewarded.
Even if I would lose time on it, it's still cool. So. But yeah, I don't think this dual wield is gonna be 11 minutes. That's
Lucky
seems out of reach at this point. Maybe not.
You'll kill me.
Oh, I don't know about that. Depends on whether you cooperate. That's a skill Senator's prize, right?
Okay.
Gotta get to the mantis. Gabs. The twins. We'll mourn later. Gotta keep moving.
Nothing really significant to point out here. We're kind of just progressing through PVC through that door, but
Be ready.
this is generally the same path you would take if you were playing the game on your first time. Obviously, you'd probably be fighting these enemies and not just sprinting through everything, but PVC through there. Normally, you'd have to fight all those enemies and then go and slice the door with BD. So here we'll hit the cutscene to start the Ninth Sister sequence. If you didn't get the Senator, if you didn't do the Senator sequence, then that cutscene will not exist. And then, as you can see there, we need that cable to actually start the fight. So 2 prereqs for dual wield. Maybe there's a way to trigger this fight without that, and then if we could, without cable or without the sender, that would make this Coruscant a lot faster, but I don't see any possibilities for that.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Yeah, okay. Not great. Wasted some time there on the Senator. Here we're just gonna keep going. This is all, again, this is mostly the same path that you take
Boat, Bravo. Are you there?
if you're playing the game casually. We do have to fight these 3 guys. Just the quickest way to do that is force push the guy standing on the ledge over here, reflect the blaster shot, and then pull the last guy into your saber attack. Don't fall like I did, but we can open up that zip line after doing that. After fighting those enemies, just progress to the center platform. I like to pull this guy just to make the next jump a little easier, but not necessary. Same with those troopers. And then there's a slamp jump we can do. Very, very precise. I rarely get it first try actually, so it's nice. But if you don't kill those stormtroopers, they can shoot you there when you're doing that jump, which halts your momentum, so you won't be able to actually reach that grapple point. We're doing the final Coruscant fight here, which relatively straightforward. Hold pushes to basically get all these troopers out of the chips, or you can deflect, but that relies a bit on RNG. Hold this guy, and then this last guy I'd like to throw off the edge. There we go, Coruscant finished. Cleaner fight at the end there, so saved a bit of time, but
We should tidy up before we visit Grease. You know how he is about mess. Good time as any to modify.
yeah, there's some very small PBCs we can do in here in the Mantis.
Let's head up to the
You
cockpit.
saw that one through the wall, and we can do it again going back through. Saves probably less than half a second. Another one right there. Also, again, saves even less time probably. But if you do get it first try, it's technically faster. Okay, now we're crashing onto Kobo. First thing we're going to do is a pocket NFT, which is basically a way to temporarily disable your fall timer for that next jump. And this is done by canceling the backflip animation by a different animation. We mostly use it with switch stance. Seems to work the best. You can also use block and a bunch of other stuff. Stem even. Although that's less reliable since you don't always have no health. That was a very good launch. First try. Do another pocket NFT there. continue on to the Riverbed Tower launch next. PBC at the bottom there, you can get like a little bit of a boost to sometimes just be able to jump up to that ledge just from that rope. If you don't get it though, you'll have to climb up. It just doesn't waste that much time. It's a good launch, first try. Should land perfect, yup. It's very close, I almost waited out before landing. Normally you can grab that grapple. I guess I was not close enough. We'll just climb up. This is the last major launch of the run before a skip launch. I shouldn't have pushed that early. Yeah, did not have the right angle, I guess. We'll take this back up. There's a loading trigger like here, just in the air. Oh, I missed it somehow. Don't really know exactly where that is, but it's a backup if you don't launch as far. Oh, here's another backup. Take it. Kind of just launched through that trigger. I don't think I've ever done that launch specifically, but it beats voiding out and trying again, so. Alright, now we're just going to continue on to the Relter.
Definitely doesn't look safe.
Now I said there's no more major launches. I will be trying one coming up here to get to the Relter quicker, although it is pretty tough to do. Give it like 2 or 3 attempts and then continue on if I don't get it, because it doesn't save a lot of time.
It's hard to breathe.
So this is the work of Santari Kree. If the rest of Z's story is true, the key to Tanalorr should be around here somewhere.
PVC through here. It's pretty tough PVC, and it's a very chunky wall. Oop. It's a little bit of collision here if you can jump to the right spot. There we go. This is the launch I'm talking about. We need to go into that crawl space to spawn the Relter.
Dust in the air. Imperial patrols probably done.
But then we don't actually need to go through it all. We can. Oh well. Ended up further away from the Relter than closer to the Relter, which that's the downside of that launch. We'll try it again. You go to through the crawl space, just go into it to spawn in the Relter. And then you can back out and do this very random launch. Oh, that one wasn't too bad. Not ideal. Ideally, you would launch literally straight to the Relter. If you can do it first try and land where I just did, you're basically just skipping that crawl space, which first try, that's save time still. Occasionally you can land like about here on that launch, which that's pretty good time save. I definitely lost time because I launched backwards, but yeah, that launch is definitely not recommended to run in serious attempts. It's kind of just like a Hail Mary to save 30 seconds if you need it. Here we go, we got Relter, and we can head back to the Neko now.
This isn't the time to fight. Now this is more my speed.
So because we skipped a certain trigger in Basalt Rift, when we when we come and fly the Relter, he kind of just stays there infinitely. He never disappears. At least while you're in Bygone Den. He disappeared there, you can see, but which means that we can just take him across. Normally you don't have enough height to take the Relter all the way.
And it may be the last corner of this galaxy that's safe from the Empire. I wish you could have seen it too, BD.
Okay, we'll try the Neko cancel here. Neko tame cancel.
I think we just found our ticket out of here.
Yeah. That I'm not sure how to do.
We'll get around faster now.
Okay, now we're gonna use a super Neko jump, which is basically a pause buffer clip while we're on the Neko to jump super high.
You got it. I bet we can clear
Use
that
it to
gate
escape,
with a little
too.
push from our new friend.
And we'll do another one coming up here, basically to jump up to that ledge. Little shortcut through this area.
Now.
We're coming up here to the Mantis flyby. This will spawn in the Mantis. Allow us to actually fly off Kobo.
Looks like the Mantis is
However,
back in action.
because we didn't fight Dagon 1, it is not in its normal location. It's actually at the crash site, not where we started Kobo, not on the normal landing pad, which would normally go to after hitting that cutscene. Here we're going to unlock early Tanalor, or unlock Tanalor using the early Tanalor glitch, which I'm sure you guys have seen if you've watched any percent runs. This is needed because basically when you unlock Tanalor, it will it'll set flags certainly, and different planets will have different things unlocked, like shortcuts and zip lines. A bunch of triggers will be missing, boss fights will be missing. Basically sets your flags to end game. And the prime use case for that is after we get the blaster, we can use it. We can travel to Tanalor, which will basically reset all those shortcuts and stuff. And then we can fly to Shattered Moon, and then the zip line right at the start, crossing into the Dryer Thorn fight, is essentially, I mean, it's just unlocked, and so we can just get crossguard very, very fast because of that. So that is pretty much the entire reason we get Tanalor, is so that we can get crossguard faster. Otherwise, we would have to do all of Moon 1, which is about 10 minutes, so.
Let's stop.
We get a rare Neko too.
Last time I saw a Lucre Hulk was Braca. Long time ago, Prof.
Okay, now we're gonna do the Mantis clip, which is basically an S and J,
So calm.
super knuckle jump, followed by a
Come on, buddy.
jump, followed by a PVC
Come on.
into the
Still repair
Mantis.
itself. Let's hope Grease has the parts we need.
It is as difficult as it sounds. There we go. First try. Not actually. Then we got bad spot. Just that swing saber tech is actually super easy to get out of there. And there we go. Nice, minute ahead.
Lateros ain't built for the cold, you know.
Must feel good to get back in the cockpit after so long.
Fine. Just getting used to
We need to buy improved footwork for Jedi. There's a few launches that we're going to use using improved footwork to get to the archive faster.
Eyes front, Cal. We're coming in.
Normally you'd have to interact with the holo table there, but because we unlocked Tanalor, I believe, that you don't have to actually do that. Okay, so normally on Jedha 1, we would be meeting Marin and then eventually going to the archive, but we'd get Tamel's Spammel Tame, and then we'd go through the Sandstorm, fight the ATST, and then go to the archive. We're going to skip all of that, and we're just going to go straight to the archive. We'll show you how to do that.
Go find Seer's escort. The rendezvous point is up ahead.
To start, we're going to climb up to here, up into this corner, and we can do a little improved footwork launch here to skip about 30 seconds platforming to climb up. Next, we're going to come over here. Normally you have to go through that central area over there. And there's like a Spammel interact or a Skriton interaction, but the developers left this little secret here. Where you can just jump and throw your saber and unlock the shortcut. So we're going to do that. And now normally you would be going over to meet Marin. But we're going to go straight to the Spammel path. So we don't have Spammel Tame yet, but there's an invisible wall stopping us from being able to just walk through there. So we do these two launches. Ooh. These two launches to come up to here, and then we can use that pocket NFT glitch to drop down on the other side of that invisible wall. Now when we're over here, the game assumes we have Spammel Tame, so we can just call the Spammel.
So keep us off the ground.
And a bonus effect is we can actually sprint with the Spammel during this whole run, which normally you are in a forest walk on the Spammel, which is very, very slow.
You've avoided Seer for years.
And even though we don't have Marin, you'll still get her
Need our help.
dialogue here.
Connected to the order.
Interesting. Are you still upset with us for leaving?
I didn't see it coming, Marin.
We're basically just going to spam attack since it's the fastest way to run on a Spammel.
Spammel friend, can you go any faster?
To the end of this tunnel, and then we're going to hop off. If you go any further than where I go,
Let's go, BD.
if you go basically to there, if you go here, it'll trigger the Sandstorm cutscene, which because we skipped Marin, it breaks that whole sequence. There's some like prompts that Marin has to do, but because she doesn't exist, we can't do them. Thankfully, the entire left side of this area has 0 collision, so we can just kind of run through this Sandstorm area and eventually just drop down right in front of the archive. Meaning we can do this whole thing in about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. As opposed to if we had to meet Marin, get Spammel team, and do that whole ATST sequence, it's probably more like 20 minutes. And like I said, basically just drop right in front of the archive. And because we didn't have that area fully loaded, we have to hit a loading trigger there by walking backwards. And then we'll load in the archive, and then we can follow Eno.
Sorry to hear that.
As it goes. Ultimately, that failure inspired me to seek out other Jedi survivors. That search led me back to my old apprentice. How have you been faring, Cal?
That doesn't sound good.
I've had a few scrapes, but I'm still breathing.
And I'm glad for it. I heard some news about a Jedi terrorist on Coruscant not long ago.
You were on Coruscant? Well, Mantis looks like it's seen better days.
You should see the other guys.
It is critical, of course, that our work remains secret.
Basically now, all we have left to unlock Blaster is to go talk to Seer, and then come back out to this hangar, and then we'll have Blaster. And then we're flying the moon, and within 2 minutes we'll should get crossguard. Not quite flying the moon right away. I'll show you what happens. Okay, so yep, we meet Seer here. Goes into a cutscene. This unlocks Moon as well as yeah, I guess the other quest for Kobo, but because the game thinks that we've already been to or have unlocked Tanalorr and need to go there. Can actually just fly to Tanalorr here, which is gonna do some weird stuff. It's actually gonna kick us off the Mantis and spawn us here, which is where you spawn. Basically at the very end of the game when you're going to start the Seer siege segment, or I guess right before the pod race with Bode, before he betrays everybody. But then we basically quit out, and the game keeps track that we went to Tanalorr, but will spawn us back here to where we can then just fly to
Let's see what's out there.
Moon instead, but with the game completely updated to think that we've already been to Tanalorr, which will set a shortcut zipline to be an on in Shattered Moon, which lets us get the crossguard within like 30 seconds of landing. So this run is very close to being over. Essentially, once I land, I'm just going to walk straight, hop on a zipline, and the run's done. So even with the pretty bad Senator, this still ended up saving quite a bit of time.
We're about to drop out of hyperspace. Sit down.
Alright, here's the zipline I was talking about. Normally this isn't here, but because we went to Tanalorr, it is. And crossguard. And that's the run. Make sure to show that you have unlocked all stances though. Which, as you can see, all 5 stances. And there we go.